If this is your first time underwater on scuba, you're in for a real adventure. You're about to experience a new world. When you enter the water, everything changes. You're light, agile, free, like you've never experienced before. With your first dive, a door opens to a different world. Go through it, and your life will never be the same. You're about to have a bubble maker, discover scuba, or discover scuba diving experience. This isn't a scuba certification course, but a chance to explore a whole new world under the supervision of a trained professional. If you signed up for Bubble Maker or Discover Scuba, you'll start with this video, then head to shallow protected water and experience diving. If you signed up for Discover Scuba Diving, you'll also go on an open water dive with a PADI professional. Chances are you'll love diving so much you'll want to do it some more. When you continue on to a PADI Scuba Diver or PADI Open Water Diver course for full scuba certification, your experience can credit towards those courses. Your instructor will explain how to make this happen. Need help finding a PADI dive centre or resort? Search online at padi.com. Before you start, there are a couple of things you'll need to do, like watching this video and meeting with your instructor for a quick review of what you've learned. Your instructor will review your registration paperwork or have you fill it out if you haven't already. Exploring the underwater world is fun, but it has a serious side. Scuba diving has risks, including lung overexpansion injury, drowning, and ear problems, among others. While these risks are serious, you avoid them by following simple safety rules you'll learn during your experience. When following these rules and suggestions, scuba diving is a reasonably safe and fun activity. As mentioned, there are some forms to fill out, including the Discover Scuba Diving Statement, and a medical form. In some areas, local laws require a physician's approval for participation. In all cases, you'll need a physician's approval before any in-water activities if you answer yes to any question on the medical form. If you're 10 or 11 years old and participating in a PADI Discover Scuba or PADI Discover Scuba Diving experience, you and your parents will also fill out the Youth Diving Responsibility and Risks Acknowledgement form and watch the Youth Diving Responsibility and Risk Acknowledgement video. Next, you'll hop into the pool or go to a pool-like confined water site for some in-water practice and fun. Let's look at some things you need to know and risks to be aware of before you get wet. Water has weight and therefore exerts pressure. As you dive deeper, the pressure increases. Because your body is mostly water, which doesn't compress, you don't usually feel pressure through most of it. However, air does compress, so you'll feel pressure in your body air spaces underwater as the water pressure compresses the air in them. This is much like the pressure changes you feel in your ears and sinuses in an airplane. Body air spaces most affected by pressure changes include the ears, sinuses, and lungs. Your mask is not really a part of your body, but you'll notice pressure affects the air in it. You need to equalize your air spaces during descent to prevent discomfort. To equalize your ears and sinuses on descent, just blow gently against your blocked nostrils or wiggle your jaw side to side and swallow. You'll want to equalize early and frequently, about every meter or each few feet. Since having a cold or congestion makes equalization difficult or impossible, You shouldn't participate if you have a cold or are congested for any reason. You'll also need to equalize your mask during descent. Just blow through your nose into the mask. There isn't any need to equalize the mask on ascent because air releases on its own. If you feel any discomfort during your descent, stop and signal to your instructor. Then ascend a short distance and try again. If you still can't equalize, let your instructor know and discontinue the dive. To minimize the possibility of a serious ear injury, never equalize forcefully or for a long time. You don't have to equalize on ascent because expanding air releases easily on its own. The lungs are your most important airspace. If you hold your breath, you trap air in your lungs. If you ascend, the trapped air expands and stretches your lungs. The lungs aren't meant to overstretch, so this can lead to a serious lung overexpansion injury, including death. The good news is, equalizing your lungs is easy. Just breathe continuously and never hold your breath. This is the most important rule in scuba diving and helps prevent a serious lung injury. Once you're underwater, seeing aquatic life is the best part of diving. Although some aquatic life can be hazardous, most aquatic life avoids divers and won't sting or bite if you don't harass them. There are a couple of things you want to keep in mind with respect to aquatic life. Never tease or harass aquatic life. Just look. Be careful with your fins and watch where you put your hands. Look, don't touch. Suppose you were underwater and wanted to tell your buddy about an interesting fish. You can't talk underwater, but you can still communicate using your hands. Although there are about 25 standard signals, here are the basic 11 that you will learn. Your instructor might also teach you some additional signs specific to your local environment. OK. Stop. Go up. Go down. Slow down, take it easy. Ear problem. Check your air gauge. Out of air. Something is wrong. Watch me. Come here. Modern dive gear adapts you to the underwater world. Your PADI instructor will help you select and fit equipment you'll use in this experience. But here's a quick overview of what you'll use. First, you'll need a mask. Your eyes can't focus in water, so you'll use a mask to see clearly. It's important to use a dive mask that has a pocket for pinching your nose, so you can equalize. The most important characteristic of a mask is correct fit. To check the fit, put the mask gently on your face and inhale through your nose. It should stay on by suction without having to press or twist the mask. Your instructor will help you. You might also use a snorkel. If so, it goes on the left side of your dive mask, and your instructor will show you how to use it. At the surface, snorkels let you look underwater and breathe without using tank air. When you get to the pool, your instructor will help you put on and adjust your scuba equipment. Your scuba gear includes your buoyancy control device, or BCD. It holds your tank, and your instructor uses it to adjust your buoyancy so you are weightless or neutrally buoyant underwater. You'll also learn to inflate it so you can float comfortably. Your scuba tank holds the air you breathe underwater. Since scuba cylinders hold high-pressure air and can be heavy, you want to handle them carefully. Your scuba regulator allows you to breathe underwater. It delivers air only when you inhale. You may also have a second mouthpiece called an alternate air source, or octopus. This is used for sharing air with another diver in an out-of-air emergency. Your regulator air gauge tells you how much air you have. You'll learn to read your air gauge so you know when it's time to come back to the surface. During your experience, you'll also use fins, so you swim easily without your arms. Your instructor will help you select the fins best suited to your needs. If you have a physical challenge that limits using your legs, you may wear special webbed gloves. Depending on where you dive, you may also use a wetsuit and weights. Your instructor will help you. Get ready! You're about to go diving. Before you gear up, you'll prepare your mask. Condensation fogs your mask unless you use commercial defog. Rub defog onto the inside of the mask, then rinse it once briefly. Now it's time to gear up. If you're using a wetsuit, put that on first, followed by your weights. To get into your scuba unit, find all the straps, then slip into it like a coat while someone holds it for you. Fasten and adjust the straps so they're snug but not overly tight. Next, you'll practice BCD inflation at the surface. To add air to your BCD, just push the inflator button. Ready to deflate your BCD at the surface? For most BCDs, you'll lift the hose and push the deflator button. Be sure that you only do so when your instructor tells you. Okay, it's time for your first breaths underwater. Descend slightly and relax while breathing slowly, deeply, and continuously. Remember, never hold your breath. Keep your regulator in your mouth and watch your instructor. Relax and enjoy. One of the first things you'll do underwater is practice equalizing your ears and mask. Your instructor will guide you as you learn this. Remember not to descend any further if you can't equalize, and to avoid forceful or long equalizations. If you're participating in a Discover Scuba Diving experience, you'll learn some dive skills that credit towards scuba diving certification. One of these skills is removing and replacing your regulator underwater. When you replace it, you'll also need to clear out the water. First, take the regulator out of your mouth, but don't let go. While it's out of your mouth, blow small bubbles so you don't hold your breath. This keeps your airway open and helps prevent a lung overexpansion injury. Then, put it back in your mouth and put your tongue against the mouthpiece and gently push the purge button. Then, take a careful first breath, just in case there's a little bit of water left in your regulator. Recovering your regulator if you let go of it is easy. First, take the regulator out of your mouth and let it swing to your side. Remember to blow small bubbles when the regulator is out of your mouth. Next, lean towards your right side and sweep your arm out in a circle. Your arm will bump into the hose. Grab the hose, slide down to the regulator, and put it back in your mouth. Now clear it like you just learnt before you start breathing. Now you know how to clear your regulator, but what about clearing your mask? This is a good thing to know, just in case a little water leaks in during a dive. Gently let some water into your mask until it's right below eye level. Then, hold the top of the mask against your face, tilt your head back, and exhale through your nose. Make sure you exhale continuously, but if you don't get all the water out, No worries. Just take another breath from your regulator and do it again. Whenever you're underwater, check your air gauge often. Your instructor will show you where it's secured. The caution zone is marked on the air gauge. Let your instructor know when the needle nears or enters the caution zone. This means it's time to ascend. There's still air in your tank, but it's a reserve. You always want to be back on the surface with air left in your tank. Watch your air gauge like you're supposed to, and it's unlikely that you'll run out of air. But for safety, you'll practice alternate air source use so you know what to do in an out-of-air emergency. First, signal that you are out of air. Your instructor will hand you his alternate air source. Once you have it, remove your regulator, remember to blow small bubbles, and put the alternate air source in your mouth. Clear it with the purge button and take a cautious first breath like you've already learned. When you're done practicing, you give the alternate air source back and switch back to your own regulator. Be sure to clear it and take a cautious first breath. There's a knack to swimming with fins and scuba gear underwater. Keep your arms at your side, point your toes and kick slowly from the hips with your knees bent slightly. Remember to relax. If you have a physical challenge that limits using your legs, just swim with your arms. Take your time and relax. Your instructor will also have you practice your hand signals underwater. If you're comfortable with your skills, your instructor might take you on a tour to deeper water. If you aren't, tell your instructor immediately prior to the tour. It's your responsibility to be open and honest with your instructor regarding how you feel. Okay, it's time to go up. To ascend, your instructor will signal an ascent. Make sure you stay close to your instructor and breathe continuously, never holding your breath. Don't ascend faster than the instructor and look up while reaching up. During the ascent, the instructor may adjust your BCD to control your buoyancy for you. Once on the surface, inflate your BCD until you float. Relax and listen to your instructor for your next directions. Now, let's go diving! If you're in a Discover Scuba Diving experience, this is what you've been waiting for. It's time to go diving. Your instructor will start out with a briefing. This might include what you're going to see underwater, safety procedures, or logistics, so pay close attention. Next, get ready as directed by your instructor and put your equipment on with help from the staff. Before you get in the water, you'll go through a pre-dive safety check to make sure everything is ready to go. Now it's time to get in the water. Your instructor will show you how to enter the water. Make sure you stay with your instructor and the rest of the group while you're in the water. After a quick weight check, it's time for a controlled descent with your instructor. Remember to equalize your ears immediately and frequently as you descend. When you get to the bottom, enjoy yourself. You're off to explore the underwater world, but stay with your instructor, of course. When your instructor ends your tour with the ascend signal, ascend the same way you did in practice. When you get to the surface, inflate your BCD. Your instructor will help you get out of the water. Then, after your dive, your instructor will show you how to document your experience so that it counts towards full diver certification as a PADI scuba diver or PADI open water diver. Congratulations! You've opened the door to a whole new world. For you, the adventure is just beginning. There are exciting opportunities within your grasp. Reach for them.